Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you for this next review, and I hope you guys will enjoy this next album review for Jennie's new record, Ruby, that I got a chance to listen to tonight to see what I was going to think of this album overall. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the 42 minutes or 41 minutes and some seconds going into 42 minutes of this 15-track record and let you know my thoughts on the album overall. So let's dive into the first track, which is Intro Jane with FKJ. It features FKJ. I'm not sure who that is, but it's an intro track. It's only 1 minute and 38 seconds. And it's not a bad intro track. It's pretty good for how it sounds. It introduces the record overall. So 4.75 out of 5. You're not in for much with this track. It's just 1 minute and 38 seconds of nice melodic vocals from Jennie, and just the way the song's produced, it's pretty strong. Then you get to Like Jennie, which is the letdown of the record. It's not a good song at all. And I know this song's coming out at midnight for a music video, but I did not like it. With how she was rapping in the track, with how mixing was, this was very overproduced and cluttery. It was a clusterfuck of a mess, this track. This track didn't do it for me. It was a letdown 2.75 out of 5. I didn't really like how she was rapping in the track, and just how it's mixed, it ruined the song in its own way. So, biggest letdown for the record, and it will bring the record's rating down exponentially. Start of War is a above decent track. Not one of my favorites, but it's not bad for how it sounds. So 4.25 out of 5. You're not in for much of a track. It's just 2 minutes and some seconds. But overall, some of these songs are pretty short, I'll tell you that much. But they're not terrible songs, except for Like Jennie. That one was the worst. So 4.25 out of 5 for Start of War. Didn't hate how Jennie was singing it overall, but there were some cringe moments as you listen through the chorus of the song. Handlebars featuring Dua Lipa was a pretty good track. I did like this song because I'm a big fan of Dua Lipa. I like Dua Lipa as an artist. She makes good music, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say Dua Lipa's not kind of sold out because of the Barbie movie. I disagree. Even though I don't watch the Barbie movie that much anymore, it's kind of a movie you watch once and then you just forget about it. It's very forgettable after a while. It wasn't a terrible movie, but it wasn't the best movie. So overall, 4.75 out of 5 for Handlebars. I like both the harmonizing from Jennie and Dua Lipa in this track. It did pretty well with the mixing and production. So, good track for how it sounds. With the IE Way Up, this is a song about Jennie's name and then Way Up. She does some rapping in it, and honestly, the song's okay. It gets better as you progress through the track, but it's just a tolerable song. Not one of the worst tracks, but not one of the best songs, in my opinion. And I'm sorry about my yawning. I'm just mentally and physically exhausted. It's been a day, basically. Not a terrible day. It was a pretty chill day. But other than that, 3.25 out of 5 for With the IE Way Up. Extra featuring Doshi. It's kind of okay. This is another okay track that I just don't see myself returning to too much. Sorry, I was messing with my PS4 controller. But it's not one of the worst singles for a fourth single. And I count Zen as a single because it was a song that was introduced in January. And then she dropped Love Hangover almost a week after. But overall, Extra is a okay track. I think the rapping from Jennie is alright, but it just has some cringe moments, and Doshi has some good rapping moments, but it's not one of the best songs, in my opinion. 3.25 out of 5. Mantra is an average track for how it sounds. Jennie's vocals and her rapping in it is pretty solid for how it sounds, but it's not one of the worst tracks, but it's just an average song at best. So it's not something you can listen to a lot. I mean, people like this style, more power to you. Ooh, excuse my yawning. I'm just like, yeah. Trying to get over the yawns. So 3.5 out of 5 for Mantra. Love Hangover featuring Dominic Fike was a pretty good song for how it sounded. Probably one of my favorite songs to finish the month out in January for singles, and was the third single for the record. Extra was the last single for the record featuring Doshi before the record comes out as of tonight. But overall, I think Love Hangover is a 4.75 out of 5. It's deserving of that. Then we get to Zen. This one's okay. There were some moments in the track that did alright. I think the chorus was the highlight, but it's just some of the track kind of goes into different territory that I just don't know if I could get on board with how she's singing and rapping it. There's some pause moments with her singing and rapping that I don't know if I can get on board with, but execution-wise, it played it safe for what it went for. So, it's a 3.25 out of 5 for this track. Damn Right featuring Childish Gambino and Kaliukis is a pretty good song. I really enjoyed this one. Nice vocals from Jennie and Kaliukis in this track. Childish Gambino did pretty well with his singing and his rapping in this track, so really like the style of this song. Melody's strong for what it goes for, and it's a good track. Fuck This Shit, it's called FTS, Fuck This Shit. It's a pretty good song too. I really like how Jennie's singing this track overall. I think the closing tracks are probably the highlights for the rest of the record. Not the best highlights, but still strong in their own way. Even if they're decent or above decent. So, pretty much, I'd give this a 4.75 out of 5 for Fuck This Shit. FTS, it's pretty solid for what it goes for. Not the worst, but not the best. Filter is a decent track. There's some sexualized lyrics I can't get behind, but execution-wise, track played it safe in its own way, in a decent way. So 4 out of 5 for this one. Jennie's singing in it is alright, but it has its moments where I can't get on board with. Soul City is going to get a 4.25 out of 5, and Filter is getting a 4 out of 5, just so you guys know. So backtracking, keeping it going to Soul City and to the rest of the last few tracks. I think Soul City is an above decent track. I don't necessarily like it, but I don't necessarily hate it. I'm just mixed about this track. It's not terrible, and Jennie's vocals make it work for the most part, but it's above decent. It's still a listenable track, so 4.25 out of 5. Starlight does tend to get repetitious, and that's the downgrade that I'm downgrading it to a 4.25 out of 5. Because the repetition in this and the last song kind of ruined the reception a little. But execution-wise, I think Starlight is a 4.25 out of 5 for me for this one. It's alright. Just above decent. And finally, Twin is the closing track to the record. It's nice, but it just has some repetition where she says twin so much, and some other lyrics that I can't really give a passing grade. It's probably going to get like a B or B minus or something, or B plus or whatever. It's not the worst track, but it's not the best track. It's somewhere in that grade range, but other than that, 4.25 out of 5 for Twin. Not the worst closing track, but not the best. So overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Jennie's new record, Ruby, was kind of a meh record. There were some songs that did ruin the reception. At least it's a little better than, unfortunately, Lisa's Alter Ego album. And I was so disappointed with that record. I thought that was going to be the most listenable record of the year. But nope. It sucked. It was an unfortunate letdown. This was not a letdown, but it was just meh. It's not the worst, but Like Jennie was the weakest song that really killed the reception of this record. And the rest of the songs were kind of like 3.25s. Like the Extral song was a 3.25 with the IE way up, 3.25. And then you have a few other 3.5s, 3.25s. But everything else did fairly average and decent in its own way. But execution-wise, I think the mixing could have been a little better, but it's not the worst record of the year, but it's kind of the mass record of the year that I know of so far. It will be on my OK to Meh albums of 2025, I'll tell you that much for this record. But if I were to give Jennie's Ruby album a score, I'm feeling a meh 6 out of 10. It's just meh. I'm a little bit in the middle with this record. Not the worst record, but not the best record. It's just, I'm just in the middle with this album. Very mixed about it. Like, there's some songs I can come back to, and most of them I can't. But a few that I can't that could have used better production work. But this is what she came out with, so I guess this is what we're getting. So, for 15 tracks and 42 minutes, a 6 out of 10 is deserving for Jennie's Ruby album. I hope you enjoyed this album review. I tried to make it a fair album review to give you guys my open opinion. And keep in mind, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, this music. I gave it a chance. I thought it was meh. Like 6 out of 10 meh. It's not worthy to be like 6.5 or the best album. It's not even close to being a good album. It's just in the middle. It's just okay. So, yeah, this is what we get when you try to change up the melodies and change the genre style with your R&B, K-pop vocals. You get this. And this is where some problems come in to play, like with Lisa's Alter Ego album last week that I reviewed. I was unfortunately let down by that record, but this record I thought was a little bit of an improvement and a step up for her solo work for Jennie. So 6 out of 10 for Jennie Ruby. I hope you enjoyed this album review tonight. Thank you guys for watching.